Aditya, should India and other Indo-Pacific democracies be concerned about this soft reset between the two superpowers, considering China's development goals have just been expressed as something going hand in hand with the vision of making America great again?
Well, certainly India will have to watch this very, very closely, and I'm sure that diplomats in New Delhi and elsewhere in Washington, D.C., as well as Beijing, would be watching closely what happens in Busan, South Korea. Because remember, not very long ago at the SCO summit, there was a talk about India-China reset, and it did happen to an extent with the announcement of the direct flight between Beijing and New Delhi, Beijing and Mumbai, and of course some other confidence-building measures between India and China. But let's remember that there's been a trust deficit, not just between India and China, but there's been a trust deficit between US and China to a great extent. Also, on the same line, on the same breath, there has been a delay in the Quad meeting. Let's remember that the Quad meeting was to happen between October and November in 2025, and India had to host it. India had to host it last year. That was delayed because at that time Biden had requested India to host this summit, and thereafter we are not sure whether India would be hosting the Quad summit. We're not sure if Trump would be visiting India. It's almost clear that Trump will not be visiting India, and the Quad meeting may not happen. So the high stakes meeting between China and US, between Trump and Xi Jinping, is very critical. Of course, from the body language and the tone and tonality of the opening remarks, it's almost clear that there has been some kind of a resolution, that there has been some amicable settlements on not all parameters, but some initial understanding on some basic principles. And that's what is clear, because Trump made very few remarks. He was usually he's very kind with his words. But in this opening remarks with the Chinese president, it was very brief. It does seem that they will do the talking perhaps later after this bilateral meeting and have some kind of an announcement that could have an impact on the global economy, because any kind of a positive deal could lead to some kind of a stability, some kind of a positive impact on the global economy. So all countries would be watching this very, very closely, of all India, because this impacts India. India has been a strategic partner of the United States for a very long time, for decades together. And the last 6 to 8 months have been critical, because there's been a complete shift by the US administration on this level of the economic understanding of how things have been. There's been a 50% tariff that has been levied against India. And while there has been some, bonhomie that's been visible on the phone calls front between Trump and Modi, but whatever happens today will have an impact on the India-US economic relationship as well. Perhaps a deal that could be signed by next month.